So, Mikaela, it's very nice to see you here again in Lake Louise.
You too.
Yeah, for me it was always this winter wonderland.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I think of it, it's like ice blue. You know, this. I have this.
Yeah.
I mean, I raced here once when it was -35, and maybe that's stuck in my mind.
Yeah, because cold, you always think of blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have for every World Cup space I've been to, it's like a special image or a special
feeling
color.
or color, feeling or image, or sometimes songs for me.
Yeah,
like,
I was just gonna ask. Do you have that?
Yeah, like there's a song by Coldplay, Atlas.
Yes.
And whenever I hear this song, I think about the Olympics in Sochi.
Okay.
Because I was listening to this song on the chairlift before I went for the slalom run, but the second slalom run. And it was like, as I was listening to this song, I was like, it was really, really weird. But I was just like, I'm going to win this race.
You just
As I was just like, this is happening right now. And I'm like, I'm going to do this now. So now every time I hear that song, I'm like, Sochi. I don't know.
That's so beautiful. But do you have that a lot, that you know, because I mean, I had that like in Sochi too, but I don't have so much experience with winning races. So you, like 62, is it like 62 times you knew before?
No, I think that race in Sochi was the only time I felt that when it actually happened. Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes when I'm thinking, okay, like I'm in good shape and this could happen today, but normally I'm not so certain. I'm always thinking, yeah, I can win, but I need to ski really well and I need to refocus and everything. And that was just something special. That was like all the stars aligned, and I don't know how it worked out just like that. But normally if I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to win, then I don't win because I'm thinking about winning. Okay. And I don't think about my skiing. So that's actually normally a really bad sign.
Yeah. But it was your first Olympic gold, right? In Sochi, yeah, I remember. So do you have different rhythms or different music styles for the different disciplines, because you do all the different disciplines?
I used to. I think like a few years ago, especially when I was just starting racing speed, I felt like I had kind of upbeat, quick tempo songs for slalom, and then similar for GS, and then speed, it was always a little bit slower. Like even listening to Adele or even just classical music, something that was a little bit more slow, and that would help me find the rhythm of speed. But now I feel a little bit more comfortable with each event, so I can really just listen to anything and like just something that puts me in a good mood and makes me excited. But I don't know. I do think music can help you. Like, did you listen to music a lot? Yeah,
I did. I just had two playlists, like one for days when I was not sharp enough. Yeah. And then one for days where I was too nervous, like too pumped.
To calm you, You
know,
so I have a similar thing, It's like the pump up playlist and then the chill vibes. Yeah.
And it's so important because, I don't know, maybe you mastered that, but for me, the hardest thing was not to realize like what I have to do to be fast or then to do it, but to accept that even when you do everything perfectly, there are still days when you wake up and you're like completely different than the day before.
Yeah.
Although everything else is exactly the same, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think about that a lot during the summer when I'm training in the gym, and it's like some days I wake up and my legs feel not that good. Yeah. And some days I wake up and it's like, okay, I can go do my session, it's great. But no matter how I'm feeling, I go do my session and it's never as bad as you think it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Like
if you work through it, sometimes you even win, right? Yeah. I mean, you win a lot probably, but even though you have this feeling.
Right, even though you feel like, oh, whatever. And I'm always thinking, if I felt like this one on a ski day, how would that affect me mentally? Because no matter what, like, I'm waking up and I go to the gym. But on ski days, sometimes if I don't feel like perfect, then I start to get really nervous and worried that I can't, you know, especially in slalom, I think I can't move my legs quick enough to do this. But I started to learn, like, it doesn't really matter. There's always a way to manage that. And if you're like physically tired, but you're mentally sharp, you're gonna be okay. if you're mentally tired but you're physically sharp, you're going to be okay. But the problem for me comes in when it's like mentally and physically tired, then, and that's just, I've been training too much or traveling too much, or like there's just everything. Now we need a day off, you know. But that's not always easy to figure out.
Yeah, I guess so. But you learn, right?
Yeah.
And for the whole switching, do you have another picture? Like for me, when I was an athlete, and in the end I also did all the disciplines, slalom not so well, but I tried. I did one World Cup slalom point. Can you imagine?
That's amazing.
I was in the second run and everybody was like, what are you doing here? I'm like
I'm
qualified. And I think
but I get so like when people are like with speed skiers, like skiing slalom, and people are like, what are you doing here? Like it's this it's this so terrible attitude.
Yeah, you're
but it's
so
the same thing with like speed skiers. When it's, for me as a slalom skier coming into speed, not everybody, but a lot of the speed racers like, oh, like let's see how you do with the real events, you know, and like, and then when I started doing well, they were like, what the heck? I'm like, we're all skiing, we're all ski racing.
It's not that big a deal,
It's not that big of a deal. Like, we're all doing the same thing here, and like you don't need to feel bad when you come ski slalom. Like I'm excited when you guys ski slalom.
Yeah, I think it's cool, right?
Yeah,
and I love when you do downhill. Yeah. It's cool. No, it's
and I'm like, we all belong everywhere. Let's just be nice to each other.
That's nice. I always had this image of having a different animal in my head, because, like, did ever a coach tell you you're too nice?
Sort of.
Like, they always told me you don't have enough killer instinct to be on top. You should be meaner. You should be more like, you know what I mean?
I've had other athletes tell me that. Well, not really a lot, but I've had people
because you
say,
have this aura, like
Yeah.
you don't come along. I don't know you super well, but you don't come along as somebody who's like
take you out at the
mean
knees.
and like hits at other people's legs so they can race or something like that.
No,
I mean maybe you do. I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I hope nobody does that, but people do. I know. No, the killer instinct is like, I don't really have that. I do struggle sometimes with being like more happy for somebody else winning a race than I would be if I won. Like even in Killington, just a week ago when Marta won, I was like, this is so cool, and I'm so happy for you. And like even with Federica in second, because I know like always getting on the podium, that's a big deal. Yeah. So I was like, I'm like, we're all good, and I'm so happy for you guys. And I was like, I think I should be a little more angry now. I need to change my attitude because I need the motivation, you know?
But do you think you have to?
No, I mean, some races I have to be a little angry to get like pumped up, but
before the race.
Yeah, but there's been a couple athletes like I've talked to in the past where they say you have to have like a rival. You have to have somebody who makes you angry on the circuit, like your biggest rival. And especially last year, people were talking about that with Petra and me. And I was like, I don't know. I don't hate her. I just don't. Like, she's cool. Yeah. And she's working really hard. And she's skiing really well. And when she wins, like, it bothers me that I didn't win, but I don't hate her. And I'm not mad at her. And like some other athletes find this fuel or this fire from hating something or being like having this killer instinct, and I'm sort of like I don't know.
But it works out. It works out
fine.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends what your own philosophy. Like if you're just a happy, kind person, you need to go that way, because if you start to be angry, things don't actually work better. Then you're just angry,
right?
Yeah,
it's not anymore
authentic.
What you are, right?
Yeah, then you're just angry, and then it's like your heart is like hurting from not being you, but from trying to be something else. I don't know. Yeah. So,
I don't know. Maybe it's different. I could never compare, but I always had the animals in the different disciplines, and when I was at the start, and I had to get like aggressive, a little more aggressive. Yeah. I always imagined myself being an animal. Yeah. And there were different animals in the different disciplines.
What would you think, like, for what was downhill for you?
A cheetah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But when I came to the World Cup, it was a polar bear. And then at a certain point, it didn't match anymore with my style and with how I skied. So yeah, I had this
That's
this
so
thing.
cool though. I think I have less like animals. Like that's a trigger animal. I have more trigger words. Like with slalom for the longest time, I would say, I just feel like I'm dancing. And just dancing, the word itself would bring the feeling I needed for my slalom skiing.
Also probably an image that made you feel like how you, and it's then like, you do a run like you did in Killington, the first run it was.
But it's like this full package, and all of that was under the title like dancing, and that was slalom for me. And like it evolves, but yeah.
You have a word for downhill?
Not really. I mean, I think flow is the best word. Like it has to be smooth, it has to flow.
Yeah, it has to be fluid, right?
Yeah, fluid.
And that's probably the hardest thing for the slalom athletes who do a lot of slalom, to not be this
harsh
like,
and like,
on the edge, right? Yeah, I can imagine. So now you said it, you're the 5th time here. You have more experience. Yeah. Did it change how you cope with the training, with, as you said before, like to decide a day off or not? I guess, I mean, you were so young when you were so great. Probably the coaches would
like,
yeah, but the coaches would probably tell you a lot, like you do this, you do that. Did that change?
It has changed. This year, I feel way more confident than, or not confident, but just comfortable with what I'm doing. And even on the track, for the first training run, I've inspected the line. Everything looked much more familiar than it has in the past. And I could remember the feeling I've had the last years. And when I was in the start gate, even though I haven't skied a downhill run in the last 3 weeks, I was thinking, like, I'm pretty good here. I'm just gonna like get in my tuck and feel it out, and I think all set. And that's definitely changed. Like last year it was more scary. The year before I was just trying to remember how it feels to be on long skis. You know, like
what is this? Been on 3 months on short skis, right?
Yeah, and then
not
I go
crashing out of the start gate.
It's just weird. Yeah, exactly. And I still have trouble out of the start gate, but no, it's true. It's like how is this supposed to feel? I had the biggest trouble like going on the long skis with downhill or Super G, but actually putting my skis on edge, because I was scared that I would go too far on edge. Yeah. And like I'm comfortable with GS and slalom there, but I wasn't comfortable with speed. So it's taken a long time for me to understand like how to finesse the skis and how,
where are the limits probably?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
how far on edge,
how hard you can angle before you
fall,
yes,
or
exactly.
or just
or swip out. Or
yeah, exactly. And all of those pieces, I was like, how does this work? And even my position, like in tech, I'm much more like upright, and in speed you have to be a bit more forward. And I was always like standing, going down the hill like this, like if I'm in slalom, and the coaches are like, do you think you could get out of the wind a little bit? I'm like, oh yeah.
Aerodynamics, maybe?
Yeah, that's a big piece of this. So it's been a lot of learning, but now I start to feel more comfortable, and I'm getting the feeling back a lot quicker when I go on the skis. So then everything's just more relaxed. I don't have to think so hard, you know?
And I mean, a lot of people probably ask you this, but you're now kind of, at least in my point of view, on a whole new level. Probably never, ever a skier in the female circuit has been on this level in all the disciplines. You have won all the races, and just for me also how you cope with it, how you cope with the change of disciplines. Is there even somebody left who can give you advice, like how you keep on working on that? Because now you're like in this new sphere, right? No, you know, I mean, maybe it's stupid, but you know, I just wonder, like it must be so great, but also kind of scary, because it's like, where do I go now, right?
Yes and no. I mean, the thing that I love about ski racing is that no matter how good you are, there's always somebody who can do something better. You know, like
you're never perfect.
You're never perfect. There's never a perfect run. So even if I win a race, maybe I'm not the fastest in a section. And so there's always something to look at. And like, I'm always analyzing video of all of the other athletes, and there's always something you can see there. And even if they're not faster in any sections, I still love to watch what they're able to do, because there's something, sometimes a feeling will click with me and I can learn from that. So it's like, there's always advice you can get, or there's always something to learn from. And then I love talking with athletes like you, or, you know, even athletes from other sports of like,
I can
Federer
imagine.
For just a minute.
That's
like,
what I guessed.
There's so much you can learn, but sometimes it's like, what do I do now? Where do I go? Because it's really just uncharted territory. I've never been here before, so I really have no idea what the right next step to take is. But you know, my coaches, my team, they understand me really well too. So together we have like basically the best idea of who I am and what I can do with my skiing, and we put the program together that's like, this makes sense for who I am. And then we just go with that, and so far it's worked. But sometimes it's scary to think like there's no map, you know?
It's an adventure. You're kind of like Christopher Columbus. Ever thought about that one? And now that's a comparison nobody ever did.
Nobody ever made that. Look at you. That's amazing.
Sweet.
Oh my gosh. No, it's true. But that we're all in that place, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like, okay, there's this really funny thing like on Instagram, you know, the funny meme pictures? Okay, so or on Twitter, I guess this is actually from, there's a list of like the 100 best tweets about being an adult. And there's the one that basically says like, when I'm in a situation that I don't know how to handle and I'm looking around for the adult, and then I realize I am the adult. So then I look around for like a more successful adult, or like the adultier adult. And that's how I feel like my entire life. I'm like, am I really 24 now? And like, am I an adult? Can someone tell me what to do, please? Oh my gosh. So that's pretty much.
You're doing pretty well.
Doing okay.
Yeah,
we're all doing
pretty
great.
okay.
We're surviving. No.
So you just said it, you're 24 now, and for me, the one skier that maybe was closest to what you did, and I have a lot of respect for also because of her special history, is Janica Kostelic, like with all the injuries, and she stopped skiing when she was 24, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. And
it's crazy.
In Lake Louise
she accomplished, and she's like, all right.
Yeah. And in Lake Louise was the only race I ever raced with her. So I still remember this was like big for me, you know, being here with her. And I just wonder, like, you've done even more. You have all the victories in all the disciplines. You have Olympic champion. You're everything. You have like 3 overall World Cup globes already, right?
Three.
Three. Okay, I'm good. Thanks. I'm not so good in statistics. I'm sure. I'm sorry.
I never get it right.
and you say you don't care about statistics too much. A lot of people talk about this. I understand, but what I wonder is what keeps you going? Like, what's the fire that still fills you up, not to say, okay, I'm 24, I'm done. You know, like Janica did, for example.
I think with, like you mentioned, she had so many injuries. By the time she was 24,
story.
You know, she
was ruined.
Yeah. And I have been for sure lucky, but also like both my parents, my mom was a nurse, my dad's a doctor. So when I was growing up being a ski racer, my dad was like, your knees are your most important piece of your body. And he knew how much knee injuries could impact a ski racer's career. And when I was talking about, you know, Bodie Miller and my idol and Janica and Anya Persson, like all of these greats that when I was like 5 years old or 6 years old or, you know, whatever, they were inspiring me to really be a ski racer. And my dad, but they all, you know, they had these just devastating injuries. And Bodie had some really incredible crashes, horrific crashes, and really bad injuries as well. And he was, not Bodie, but my dad was telling me, like, if you injure your knee, and when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, he said, if you have a knee injury, I'm calling it for you. Like, you're not allowed to race anymore. And that was, for me, was like, I need to protect myself. And that was where I got the motivation to work so hard on my technique and to work so hard on the things that would allow me to be fast in the safest way I could. Yeah. And then you minimize the risk. Yeah, wow. But it's a sport that is inherently risky, so you can't take that away fully. And this, you know, this was when I was younger, but he was like, your body, your health and like happiness by being able to, you know, walk and have your knees, that's the most important thing. That was the most important thing for him. And it was maybe extreme. I don't think it would have stopped me from skiing, but I never found out. But it was a good picture. I mean, it made you extremely stable, and you never and it gave me the discipline to focus and not just be like, oh, it doesn't matter if I fall. Like, I'll just come back, because when you start at 12 years old with a knee injury, like, that's a lot.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. But then I also look at these athletes, like, I know you've had some crazy injuries, Janitza or Lindsay or Bodhi, or and that there's a piece of their career that no matter like what I do in the future, I'm never going to be the athlete who came back, who showed the grit to come back from something so difficult.
Well, fortunately,
I'm glad. I'm happy for that, and I feel so fortunate, and I would not have it any other way. But I have so much respect for like you, or for the athletes who have put in this mental determination to come back, because I know, like, I had enough of a knee injury to know how heartbreaking that is. And I didn't even have this surgery that took me out for 9 months or 1 year or longer. And it was so much. Right. That was such a different thing. And there's so much to be said for like the athletes who are able to do that. And I think I would be able to, but I don't know. I think there is a difference there. I'm okay with that. Of course, I don't want to get injured.
No, but I understand.
Know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I absolutely understand. But then, what is the fire that keeps you going? Because it's not this, I have to come back, right?
Yeah, it's not the comeback. I mean, I think it's like what we talked about before, is like some athletes have this killer instinct and the anger, and that's what drives them. And for me, when I finally realized I'm not driven by anger or a killer instinct, then like the entire world opened up. It was like, wait, I can actually just enjoy this. And that's the thing, like, I just love it. I love to win, for
amazing.
Sure. You know, I mean, like winning, and that's all motivation.
It's more about skiing, and skiing all the disciplines, and the feeling you get when you do it.
I mean, because every time that a new record does come up, or like another globe or whatever, and I'm like, this is amazing. And when I know it's, you know, it's about to happen, I mean, in Levy with breaking Ingemar's record. Yeah. And I was thinking during the day, like, this could happen. If it does, like, what would that mean to me? And I didn't have any answers for that. And then it did happen, and people were like, what do you have to say about this? And I was like, I really have no idea, like.
But you did an amazing run and another amazing run.
That was a really fun day. Yeah, right? But I was like, this didn't feel different. It's not like this earth-shattering different day. I won a ski race today. You know?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing.
It's just, I don't know. It's just funny to think about that, because I do, like, I'm not really able to sensationalize those wins the way that some athletes have been able to. And sometimes I wish I could be a little stronger in the finish when I'm like, have a good race and be a little more excited.
But it wouldn't be you.
It wouldn't be me.
And then everything else
just
wouldn't
smile.
be you.
Ilka last year told me, because in Maribor, I won, I think, but then I didn't look very happy. Oh, it was when Petra and I tied.
Okay.
And the way the camera was on me for that moment, like, I wasn't smiling.
Yeah.
And she sent me a text, and she said, dude, smile and wave. Like, you don't have to have an epic celebration, but you need to smile. And I was laughing so hard. I'm like, they got me at the wrong time. I couldn't control it. But it's true. It's like,
but
you can smile, then it's
good. And I think that's exactly what makes you so amazing. And that's why we love you.
Thank you.
Keep on waving and smiling. And very good luck for the race this year.
Thank you.
The whole season.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.